welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It has been a while since I shared an update on the EU and its economy, so today I would like to quickly walk you through key facts related to 2024 forecasts for the Eurozone, focusing primarily on Germany's economic decline. On the very high level, rising geopolitical tensions in Europe are weakening international trade, and that in turn makes any substantial economic recovery extremely questionable, especially for Europe with its heavy reliance on exports. Due to one of the three key instruments of power, economic power in the form of tariffs, sanctions, export-import bans, being used left and right to increase geopolitical influence, of course, export-oriented economies will suffer. One of the reasons why these sanctions affected Europe more than they affected the US economy, for example, is based on the size of their domestic market and the level of self-sufficiency. European economies will continue to take a hit if the slowdown in global trade continues, and everyone who says otherwise is not really telling you the truth. Here's essentially what's happening in Europe and what will continue to happen this year and next year if tensions do not de-escalate. As geopolitical tensions rise, the level of uncertainty increases. In turn, investment activities decline because of the increase in risk. As investments decline, so does production, because there is less money flowing into raw materials, into maintaining a labor force, etc. At the same time, you have inflationary pressures building up. Again, this works to slow down economic activity and any hope for a recovery. In addition to all of these forces, we also see economic sanctions dampen exports. So what do we have at the end? GDP declines, employment numbers will continue to decline, and so will any income that those living in the EU will receive. It's simple. Germany is essential to the EU. It is the bloc's biggest economy. So if you're curious what to expect of the Eurozone in the near future, we should focus on the latest news and developments in Germany. Germany's Minister of Economy, Christian Lindner, actually took offense to the popular reference to Germany as being the sick man of Europe. He said that it is not correct, and instead, Germany is just a tired man of Europe who just needs a very, very strong cup of coffee. Those are his exact words. Many would argue that after a year of economic contraction, Germany's economy is neither sick nor tired. It might be on its deathbed. Several days ago, Deutsche Bank, for example, published its latest economic forecast where Germany's economy is expected to decline even further, following the declines of last year. They forecast an annual contraction of 0.2% this year, while the EU growth is expected to be positive 0.2%. So that is the best case scenario for the EU, barely any growth at all. Christian Lindner believes that once the monumental issues related to the availability of labor, energy, and digital technology are addressed, Germany will, quote, continue to succeed economically. Of course, all of these three areas that I just mentioned are not really within Germany's full control. Shortages of skilled labor and the lack of affordable energy aren't really easy to fix. Germany's economic crisis is much more serious than Christian Lindner might choose to admit. Nationwide strikes by railway workers and farmer protests are creating very serious pressure on the economy. Germany's wholesale sector, for example, is core to the country. Here are the latest expectations through next year, through 2025. As you can see, the recovery is truly not in sight. New data that was just released shows a sharp drop in exports to the United States and China. This adds to signs that Germany actually did suffer a sharp downturn last year. As you can see here on this illustration by the Financial Times, it's been doing worse and worse every single year after the pandemic. This isn't exactly a chart of a recovery, I would say. It's more of a chart of a decline. Would you agree? Last week, the Bundestag voted in favor of new rules on citizenship to encourage immigration to Germany of those with professional degrees, professional experience, and a skilled labor force. Whether or not it will help remains to be seen. It is a long process that will likely take several years. But in the meantime, German farmers are making it crystal clear that they're struggling while the Bundestag removes agricultural fuel subsidies. But their voices are being completely ignored, unfortunately. To highlight the disconnect between the elites, the government, and average German people, last week during the Davos meeting, several speakers, including the head of the World Trade Organization, suggested that the German government needs to raise taxes to fund the transition to green energy. You can't make that up. So they cut subsidies and then they want to raise taxes. These calls were rejected, of course, but this just goes to show the two parallel realities that exist today, the complete disconnect between those in the position of power and the rest of the population. In the UK, a new report that was just released today shows that urban economies in all parts of the country have stagnated. It's truly shocking. Also, Financial Times reported that a new survey shows that the number of UK companies in critical financial distress has jumped for the second consecutive quarter as high inflation and interest rates lift costs and weaken consumer sentiment. Besides economic issues in Germany and the UK, France is not an exception. Farmers are protesting rising costs and increasing challenges that they have to face in order to stay in business as the result of the EU and French government extreme rules and regulations. So as you can see, although this isn't very promising, this isn't positive at all, but these facts tell you everything that you need to know with respect to what to expect this year in terms of economic recovery. If there are no additional events that weaken supply chains, such as the escalation in the Red Sea or the conflict in the Middle East, this is likely the scenario that will happen. But if tensions continue to rise, as they very well may be at this point in time, the data and the predictions that I just shared with you might be the best case scenario. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful and interesting. Unfortunately, the data I shared with you is not exactly promising and positive, but I would rather tell you the truth because I think that facts matter. Please show your support. It does go a long way. Give this video a thumbs up, consider sharing it, and subscribe both on Rumble and YouTube. I would absolutely love to have you both on Rumble and YouTube. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in my new one tomorrow. Bye for now.